Greetings and salutations, everybody. It's XLJ the OG here with Mr. B-Roll, and tonight's going to be a very special episode of Pro Wrestling 60. It's going to be an episode unlike any other that we've done before, because this week was a week full of ups and downs and highs and lows, and it is just this isn't going to be your typical PW60 episode tonight, folks. For tonight, uh, we're looking back and we're honoring the careers of, as we got gut punched this week. We didn't lose one, but we lost two of the all-time greats and two of the pioneers in professional wrestling. I'm talking that of the late great Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt. Mr. B-Roll, I know as you're the pro wrestling newbie, but still, in the short time that you've been able to see Bray Wyatt, I know Bray really was kind of one of those characters that resonated with you, right?
I mean, yeah, and I mean, I think to echo even some of what our good friend, the Rest Talk Trip God Hambone said, like, bigger, huskier guy. And like, you kind of just, instantly relate to that. And, as you know, like our whole, well, it's not even really gimmick because it's actual facts. I've only been a wrestling fan for my past 2 years now. I can't even, I don't even remember, but less than 3 years for sure. And, I can, so when Extreme Rules happened this past year, like just to put this into perspective, and someone else mentioned this to me, but like honestly, like the Bray return was like my Jericho return. Like just the build up for it. I mean, it's the greatest return I've seen in my time as a wrestling fan, for sure. The build up for it and everything. But what's crazy too is even before I was a wrestling fan, though, like I can recall like the videos popping up on my Facebook because like someone shared them of the Wyatt family, and I always found them so like interesting. Yeah. Like he was just like, he was so creepy, especially kind of like taking it out of context, like just watching like their vignettes and stuff. But yeah, a character, and really even a human being unlike any other.
Yeah, I mean, truer words can't be said. I mean, both of these losses hurt for different reasons. With Terry, I mean, Terry was like a father figure in the world of professional wrestling. I mean, you never heard. That's the thing about both these guys. You never really heard any negative stories or controversy or anything like this. Both of these guys were phenomenal workers. Both of these guys left enduring legacies. Both of these guys were incredible family men. And tonight's episode is dedicated to both Windham Rotunda and Terry Funk. We're going to talk about them here tonight. And everybody mourns different, of course, but we kind of went back and forth on how to handle this, and we feel like this platform is the best way to go about honoring their legacies, and that's what we're going to do here tonight. So this PW60, folks, no time limits, no gimmicks, because tonight we are going to honor both of these men. But they both hurt, but like I think with Bray, what really hurts here is just like it was, Terry we knew was ill. And there was inklings of rumors on Windham that he was ill and stuff, but you just didn't know. And then just out of the blue to say at 36, he died of a heart attack. And I mean, everybody says this, you hear this over and over again, but folks, this is so true. Life's too short because you don't know if you have tomorrow. So enjoy the days, enjoy the times that you have with your family, your friends, those you love to you. Like, it can take like a couple, like somebody says something bad um, to you and it ruins your day or whatever, right? And it just, just don't like what I'm trying to say here is life's too short. You can't let that negativity enjoy the positivity because we're not here for too long of a time. And unfortunately, that was the case with Wyndham Rotunda as we lost him way too soon. Um, and like you said, B-roll, like the stuff with the Wyatt family was just so ahead of its time. I feel like you kind of seen characters and stables and whatnot that were similar to this, but the thing is, just nobody, not as charismatic of his leader like Bray is.
Believable, like
Yeah,
believable, like
he was every bit
like
of that character. Like my gosh, the way he would look into your soul, man. The way he would cut a promo, just those words, just the dictation, just the voice patterns, like just how he would. It was picture perfect. Like, I mean, he is gonna go down, even though he's with us a short period of time. In my opinion, he's gonna go down as one of the greatest promos of all time. Was Bray Wyatt, man. Like Bray Wyatt is just like one in those once in a lifetime performers. I mean, the stuff that he was doing, like even in NXT, like and the stuff like that Wyatt family, man, my gosh. With another great who we lost way too soon with Brody. Um,
yeah,
and of course with Rowan. I mean, that Wyatt family, man, they were something else. And you even said yourself, you weren't even watching wrestling and you knew about the Wyatt family. You had
yeah,
seen vignettes and stuff.
yeah, yeah,
But I don't know. I just like, and I mean, he got kind of handed a bad card to begin with the Husky Harris character in NXT. The bulldozer, or what was it? He said the tank with the Ferrari engine. And also on top of this, folks, coming from one of the greatest professional wrestling families of all time, the Mulligan Wyndham Rotunda family.
yeah,
You consider his grandfather as Blackjack Mulligan, one of the greatest tag team wrestlers of all time. His uncle, who he's named after, Barry Windham, one of the greatest talents of all time. His father, Mike Rotunda, IRS, one of the greatest performers of all time, and yet somehow in the short time Wyndham was with us, I honestly think, and I'm not just saying this because of the situation, but I mean, I honestly think Wyndham may have been the best wrestler out of that family, and that's saying something for somebody like him. That from that, anytime you're getting into wrestling and you're involved in with the family, I mean, it's just you're already kind of dealing with something that's a challenge. But
hmm
and he took that ball and he ran with it. And like the stuff that he created in the short time we had him, we're going to be talking about that for years and years and years to come. I mean, I'll never forget like some of these moments throughout the years, like you mentioned them, the vignettes, man. Those
yeah,
vignettes, the build up to his debut on the main roster was incredible, man.
yeah,
Like, yeah, I mean, he really is like you're never gonna see another person like Wyndham Rotunda ever again. I mean, he got it, and man, oh man, here's another thing I don't think he gets nearly enough credit for too. Physicality in the ring, he was an incredible performer. I mean, for a man of his size to move around the way he does, and just like you could just you just look into his eyes and like he has your attention. You're focused
mhm,
fully on him. But the Wyatt family is going to go down, I think, as one of the better factions of all time. Honestly, and once again, I know short period of time we had them, but man, just the stuff they were doing, the promos they were doing, like the in-ring work they were doing. I mean, shoot, like Bray. I remember when Bray had that incredible WrestleMania moment at WrestleMania 32, and then like hell, even The Rock was like putting Bray Wyatt over how as great of a character and as great as a wrestler he was, all while staying in character, of course. But I mean, there's just so many great moments here in his career. Um, I have to say this, like when as soon as I heard that they were doing a tribute show, like it automatically like clicked to me like where it was, and I got to tell you, folks, like I literally dropped everything I was doing on Friday, and I actually was there in Louisville for the tribute show for Bray Wyatt, and it was something else. Like the crowd, it was like somber to a certain extent, but they also were happy and excited to be there because at the end of the day, that is pro wrestling. This is what they do: is they entertain us, right?
Mhm.
And I mean, I feel like Bray was probably looking down with a big old smile and a grin on his face at the reactions that he was getting, as well as just like the fans just being there and being in the moment. So I actually do have some footage from the Friday Night SmackDown, which I'd like to show you all right now.
Well, I had to do something. I felt inclined. I had to do this. So I'm actually here in Louisville at the Yum Center for tonight's SmackDown. Tonight's going to be a rough night for us all, but just remember the greatness that was Windham Rotunda. So love you all. We're all going to get through this, and just remember tonight we're celebrating him.
We lost two beloved members of our WWE family. Honor their legacy and celebrate their lives. The lives of two incredible men who have touched all of us with their passion, their creativity, and their spirit.
Oh, he's going for it. He doesn't. Oh!
About a time, 11 years old, I'm at the Denver airport. I am traveling with my father, and across the people mover, I hear a man yelling the most peculiar insult. I hear a man calling my father an egg-sucking dog.
Yeah!
This is to Tokyo, Terry Funk was passionate. He was extremely passionate. Tables, ladders, chairs, hardcore.
Why didn't you come out of it? We want Taylor! What are they doing? Oh my God! So good!
I can tell tonight's about Bray Wyatt. I walked out here to this building tonight and I saw everybody out here represented with the Fireflies. And it just got me thinking, I had to rewind in my mind a little bit because I think back to the fact that sometimes your greatest foes can turn out to be your greatest helpers.
Yeah!
Now let me just go ahead and be honest about this. Bray Wyatt and I, we went through hell. That guy did everything imaginable to me, and I did everything that I could back to him. And through that, you know what he was doing? He was getting me ready for anything.
Yeah!
His family, I gotta be honest, my heart breaks for that. But as I look around, I can hear it, I can feel it. Again, when I saw each one of those Fireflies out here tonight, I know that all of you can feel the spirit of Bray Wyatt in this building.
Thank you, Bray! Thank you, Bray! Thank you, Bray! Thank you, Bray!
Now, I ain't gonna come out here and act like he and I were best friends, but I will repeat that exact sentiment. Thank you, Bray. Oh, one more thing. Miss, a wise man once told me, the next time you see me, run.
Let's go, Bill! Stand him for this. In his hands, he's got the whole world. In his hands, he's got the whole world. In his hands, he's got the whole world. Thank you, Bray! Thank you, Bray! Thank you, Bray! Thank you, Bray! Thank you, Bray. Thank you, Bray.
Man, I gotta tell you, I was so glad I went to that show. And I mean, there was hesitation even about like because I was telling you, like unfortunately we couldn't work it out where we could both go, but like I was telling you, it's like I just felt like I had to be there for that moment, like and what you saw there, I mean, yes, obviously, once again, we all mourn differently. But what I took away from that show the most was all the families around me. Like you saw the little boy in the front, how ecstatic he was when he saw his heroes like Rey Mysterio, like Cody, like L.A. Knight. I mean, that's why we love professional wrestling so much. Is because they can just get your attention span and just like for a moment, for a brief moment, you forget about maybe stuff in the real world's not that great for you, but you're entertained. And by God, Bray Wyatt was one of the most entertaining professional wrestlers of all time. Like you got to keep in mind too, folks. Bray Wyatt was doing this stuff with his character development when nobody else was pushing down the barriers. Because in this day and age, in the current product with the WWE over the past 5 to 10 years, it's kind of like we got to kind of stick to the quote unquote. We can't think outside the box. You know, this isn't how is this presentable on TV or whatever. But Bray Wyatt was just like, no, no. He pushed the boundaries and he excelled. And like for that, like you just got to commend him and thank him so much for like I say all these memories and these rivalries. And my God, Reroll. I mean, the guys he worked with in this short time frame is incredible. Like he literally worked with every single top star, like everybody from Bryan Danielson, and my God, what a story that was with him joining the Wyatt family and part of the Wyatt family for a little time. John Cena, we can't forget about WrestleMania 30 and that incredible encounter and how they would go back to that years later at WrestleMania 36 in the Firefly Funhouse.
Yeah, that honestly is such just a great feud because it's kind of like, I mean, John Cena's like your ultimate good guy, right?
Mhm.
And Bray's kind of like always been that bad guy, but you like him.
Yeah, well, and that story was compelling too at the time because, like, I'll never forget that match. Bray was literally trying to get John Cena to like break his character and and get himself intentionally disqualified. Hit him with the chair. He literally offered Cena the chair, just so he and in a way Bray would be winning. Not so much maybe before the 1, 2, 3, but he would be winning because he's causing John Cena to like give in to never, like John Cena is like never give up, never surrender, right? And making him break down. Just such an amazing story, I thought, with John Cena. My God, what about this rivalry with the Viper Randy Orton? I mean, these are two guys that are just like hand in hand. Like, I mean, Randy Orton, his incredibleness, and just the matches that these two had over the years has just been phenomenal. Like every time these guys got together, I always enjoyed what they were cooking. And yes, I know like even there was the controversy at that WrestleMania the one year and they didn't really have a whole lot of time, but still like the build up and everything else they've done, man. And hey, that's the thing too with Bray. Like not all of his stuff was home runs, just like all of us in real life. I mean, you can complain about that match. You can look back at that infamous Hell in a Cell match against Seth Rollins. But still, though, like he thought outside of the box, man. And for that, you got to respect him.
And honestly, like going back to a baseball analogy, not all of them were home runs, but he wasn't afraid to swing and miss either.
Yeah,
he was willing
exactly.
to take the risk.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a guy too who was able to reinvent himself over time. And oh man, we can't forget about the rivalry with the Shield, with the Wyatt family and the Shield. Oh my gosh, that was just tailor made for television. And of course, Bray finally getting that huge moment and winning the WWE Championship at that Elimination Chamber years ago was a huge moment. a moment so well deserved. And he would go on to have reigns as the Universal Champion as well. But I want to talk about him coming back and bringing and finding himself as the Fiend. The Fiend was just like that was like really, I think, tapping into his creativity because this is like the Eater of Worlds was one character, but the Fiend, oh boy, completely different. Like, what were your thoughts on the Fiend? Because I know you've looked back and you've definitely seen some matches and footage of Bray as the Fiend, as that character. How did you identify? How do you feel about the character of the Fiend?
I mean, it definitely is out there. I mean, I'll say this: I love like the pairing of it and the concept of it with the Firefly Funhouse. Like these two like polar opposite things. I mean, I'll be honest though, my favorite version of Bray Wyatt was like that Wyatt family, Bray Wyatt. And I mean, really, I also was like really enjoying the current run. I mean, I felt like the current one was kind of like the mix
Of the two.
of the two.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not gonna say I dislike the Fiend. It could be hit or miss for me though.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people who kind of were like that, but there was also a lot of people who love the Fiend, and I gotta be honest, I was one of them because I just thought like I'm a huge horror movie fan, and for him to like take the time and work with like a Tom Savini and have him design that mask. If you don't know Tom Savini, one of the all-time great horror special effects like makeup artist, but for him to like do that, I thought was so cool. And that mask is just like, oh my gosh, it's so haunting. And the lantern with his head, like,
yes.
Oh my god.
Now I will say that is like the chef's kiss, you would say.
Yeah. And I mean the presentation of the Fiend, like from his entrance to his like the Emery, like he had taken himself and went to this other like level that we just have never really seen. The only other guy in wrestling, and I know there's a lot of comparisons between these two guys, and rightfully so, is the Undertaker. I mean, both these evil, played these characters, these dark characters, but they would always like reinvent themselves. And the Fiend is one of the heirs of Bray Wyatt's, and arguably it may be his most well known. And like you say, on top of that, what I loved about the Fiend though was the tie-in with the Firefly Funhouse. It was completely polar opposites. It's like Jekyll and Hyde, right? And just like Bray with just the way everything about this, the aesthetics of the Funhouse with the characters in the Funhouse. I mean, I can remember we were going back to Extreme Rules when he came back and like all the characters were in the crowd when he come out. It's just like, oh man, and it was. You're a huge stickler for this. I know B-roll is it's all about the details, and like there were so many great like little dropping the like hidden gems, if you will, with Bray Wyatt about little things pumped up here and there. Everything from like the Muscle Man dance and just like the Vince McMahon puppet. This is good shit, pal. Like just everything about Bray.
I want one of those puppets. Like, not gonna lie.
Yes, I do too. And then this creepy aesthetic of like a child's like TV show. Like, oh, it's just, oh man, I just ate this up. This was so innovative to me, and the production values were phenomenal too. And like, I mean, the character, like it to me, it never got stale. Like, I mean, they always were doing unique things, adding to the character, such as we got to talk about the relationship with Alexa Bliss and how he was elevate Alexa Bliss to this another next level type of character, and I'll never forget like the some of the like just the creepy like, and we're talking too in a and it's unfortunate because some of their best work was in the pandemic era. So this is when we're talking like the Thunderdome and stuff. But I got to tell you, B-roll. To me, I thought that was the most entertaining, compelling stuff WWE was putting out at that time frame because they needed stuff like that.
It was like the theatrics of it. Was really was what you needed during that time frame, and like
Yeah.
just what a spot it put Alexa Bliss in.
Oh yeah.
Like, and like you hate to see it. But I can't help but be curious about what they had planned.
Oh,
in
I
this
know.
in
You
this
make
current
makes you
run.
wonder, like Uncle Howdy and stuff. Like, who was that going to actually be? I've heard even some people talking and suggest like Uncle Howdy, like, should be they should finish that story. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but I mean, we were all shocked too when WWE let Bray Wyatt go. It's like, how can they let one of the most creative geniuses on their roster go? But thankfully, though. We did get to see him come back and break B-roll. I'm so grateful that he got this last run.
Yeah.
Like it may have not went the way we wanted or it was short, but man, oh man, it's like you say. I'll never forget. Like for you, when you watched Extreme Rules and you were talking to me literally that night about it, and like all your different theory, like just like you were, he got you, man. He got you, and it was like that's what wrestling's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Is supposed to enthrall you.
Like, credit to one Top Dollar, AJ Francis. He tweeted out, so the cameras that they use have a micro that they used on Bray when he came back was a microphone, and it's only supposed to pick up like audio from directly in front. So like it was supposed to pick up Bray saying, "I'm back." It was so loud in there that you could barely even hear him say it, and it like caused the mic to mess up.
Yeah. I mean, I'll never forget that moment. It's like you said, it is one of those iconic returns that will live on in the history of professional wrestling. It's right up there with the Chris Jericho debut on Raw all those years earlier. It's something we're going to be talking about for years and years to come, and it's just another one of those things. To me personally, I think honestly, my favorite moment of his entire career was this passionate promo that he cut on SmackDown when he come back. Like this was I feel like that was Windham Rotunda talking to us. That was him being real as real can be, and just like B-roll. We talk about this all the time. Mental health in this country is like a huge thing. We all suffer from it. We all have those days where we just beat ourselves into the ground, and Wyndham was no exception to that. But for him being brave enough and to kind of come out and kind of talk about that, I just it was so compelling. It's so heartwarming, and like I'm just looking at this almost makes me want this picture of him makes me want to tear up. Like it was just so heartfelt, so honest, and it's just like I don't know how you don't love that guy after that. But I'm grateful too that like his last rivalry got to be with the guy who right now undoubtedly is the hottest wrestler going today in all companies is LA Knight. I thought for LA Knight, a veteran who's been doing this for years, finally getting his break, and for like Bray to be the guy, like kind of his first real big rivalry. And you saw it in that video there, folks, from SmackDown, like that. My God, what a promo LA Knight did, just talking about like Bray. I thought that was so heartfelt, it was so good.
It was amazing, and even the tie-in at the very end where he's talking about the Miz.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
now, correct me if I'm wrong. Was this when their feud started? Were we at that SmackDown where it started,
I did.
or had
You
it
know
already
what?
started?
You know what? I think you're right. I didn't even think about that till just now. I think we were actually at the SmackDown where it started. It was backstage, but still we were there.
Yeah,
It's
I think
crazy to
so.
think. I didn't even think about that till you said that. Wow. But and yes, I mean it did lead to the pitch black match, and people can say what you want to say, and like, hey, we talked about like home runs, but like you say, Brace swinging for the fences. But I mean, still at the end of the day, it got you talking. You were talking about the match the next day, and they got your attention. I'll never forget too. I think one of the coolest moments I loved was that Monday Night Raw is 30, and where the Undertaker whispering to Bray, and like kind of like that passing of the torch type of moment, man. Because like I said, like honestly, Bray Wyatt is the closest as far as like a dark character that we've seen come to the Undertaker. And the Undertaker is one of the all-time greats for to be in the comparison and talk about the same class as that. That's amazing on so many levels. And of course, like we as selfish wrestling fans as we are, we were supposed to get like him and Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania, and obviously, he was sick, but we didn't know what was going on at the time. But at the end of the day, like he's a human being, it's not any of our business,
Yeah.
He's so. Um, but I mean, yes, Bray Wyatt, the character, the Fiend, everything he's done. It is phenomenal. The body of work that he has that we all have to look back on. We are truly blessed. But at the end of the day, it's not his greatest accomplishment. His greatest accomplishment is he is a family man. I mean, you can just tell. Look at this picture. I mean, look how happy he is to be with his wife or his significant other. I think they were engaged actually. JoJo. Um, you could just tell, like you can just look at a person. You just know they're a good dude. They're a good person, man. You can just tell and look at him, and you can just tell he's like loving life, man. And he leaves behind 4 girls, and that sucks. It
Yeah.
does. I mean, I'm sure, yeah, they're gonna be able to kind of hear about how great their dad was and stuff, but for them not to be able to grow up with like their dad, I mean, folks, I can't stress it enough. We don't know if we're gonna be here tomorrow, so cherish moments like these with your family, and just your wife, your husband, your significant other, whatever. Just hold them a little closer tonight.
Yeah.
Give them an extra kiss. Do whatever, because I mean, we just do not know. But I think the greatest thing that he's left behind is just like he's a family man. He was a family man through and through. He was a great person, just a phenomenal human being. And I mean, it just it's hard. We can't put it into words, folks. We can talk about it all day. You can't really put it or justify or put it in words.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that like so creative, so compassionate, and dude, I've seen video footages like just all throughout the years of him, like outside of wrestling and like talking to fans and like signing autographs. I'll never forget too, man, when like he was with his kids and like us selfish wrestling fans. Some fan went up to him and asked him an autograph, and he didn't hesitate. Didn't hesitate. He was just that type of guy, and we're forever gonna miss him. Um, and we here at the PW60 family, we definitely want to wish all of our condolences to the Rotunda family, because at the end of the day, I mean, yeah, we lost a great performer, but more important than anything, a wife lost her husband, some daughters lost their father, mother and father lost their son, and a brother and sister lost their brother. So our deepest condolences to the Windham or the Rotunda family. And like we say, B-roll, there's a lot of us hurt from this. A lot of us here on the PW60 crew. But we want to look back and we want to think about the greatness of both these competitors. So here's some of our members of our family giving their thoughts on the great Windham Rotunda and Terry Funk.
Marks, it's your Wrestle Talk Drip God Hambone here to say a couple words about the passing of both Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt. Terry Funk, absolute legend. Don't think there's anybody that's going to disagree with that. He inspired so many wrestlers after him. Terry was different. He was entertaining. He was middle-aged and crazy, and you believed him when he said it. Definitely a loss for the wrestling community. A little bit easier, than Bray Wyatt. Terry lived to a old age. He was in bad health. Kind of saw it coming. Bray Wyatt, a different story. I know a lot of us are taking this loss pretty hard. I know that I am. To lose him at 36, especially to something like a heart attack from COVID. 36, I'm 36, so it's a tragic loss. Probably the most creative wrestler, the most creative mind of our generation. I don't think we even scratched the surface of what he could have done. One of the things that everybody's like, what's your favorite moment? For me, it's meeting him. And I say that because since he's passed, all that we've heard from other wrestlers was how kind Bray was and how he, always made everybody laugh and he was such a good person and all that. And, obviously I didn't know Bray personally, but meeting him, I got a little bit of a taste of that because he was very kind to me. He just had this way of making you feel like he knew you already. That's how I felt. We got to talk. He made it an experience. For me, obviously, that just made him made me like him even more, made me a bigger fan. So, definitely two big losses, and they will both be missed.
Hi, everybody. I'm wearing the glasses this time. Here for PW60, Brian here, Brian's House of Random, sitting in the vehicle of Random at the moment. Of course, we'll get back eventually to the series with the stables and things like that and Ultimate Versions, but for right now, of course, we know in the wrestling world we lost two great individuals, an absolute legend in Terry Funk. What can be said that hasn't already been said about Terry Funk? A legend in Japan, a legend everywhere for hardcore wrestling. Just it's hard to put into words. There's so much in a limited time to really describe him. And I remember, of course, when he won the ECW title in 1997, barely legal pay-per-view, his matches in WCW. And by the way, when I say that Dusty sucks eggs, and I'm Terry Funk from the Double Cross Ranch, Amarillo, Texas. That's about my best Terry Funk impersonation. And of course, hitting Dustin Rhodes with that raw chicken on Nitro was pretty hilarious. And when he got kicked in the head when he did the match with Chris Candido in WCW as well, and they were in the stable with the horse, that was hilarious. And of course, his movie career, I mean, Roadhouse, Over the Top, yeah, amazing. Bray Wyatt, wow. You talk about creative individuals with a mind. I mean, he grew up in the business. I mean, look at his family. Mike Rotunda, Barry Windham, and so many others in the business. And the lineage he had, but not going with, well, I'm IRS's son and doing an IRS Junior or a new Blackjack version. Coming up with his own stuff. The elements of Bray Wyatt, the reinvention several times over. Some were okay, but of course a couple of them were great. Obviously, the original Bray Wyatt and obviously The Fiend was absolutely amazing and just shows the creativity of his mind. I wish that Vince would have done more with him properly in the beginning. But hey, can't change the past. But we look at it from the wrestling aspect. Of course, the most important aspect is these are human lives just like us that have passed on, sadly. So we're going to miss both Terry and Windham. So hopefully the rest of you all have a great day, and we'll see you around soon.
Hey y'all, so as you all know that we had like a sudden passing between Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt, and my sincerest condolences goes out to the family, friends, and loved ones of both of these iconic wrestler. But I do wanted to say something. It's about Bray Wyatt, and like his death is actually kind of like really affecting like pretty much everyone, including myself. Because my first ever live wrestling show was 2016 SmackDown Live, and it was in aftermath of the No Mercy pay-per-view. And I remember that the main event match was Randy Orton and Kane versus Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper. And I remember when Bray and Luke came out. And mind you, this is Luke Harper's first appearance since his surprise return at No Mercy from his couple months of injury at the time. And seeing, Bray and Luke live was very amazing. And yes, they did win the match against Orton and Kane, if I recall. If not, I do apologize. But it was such a very compelling moment seeing like the Wyatt family live, and it was amazing. And the last time I did see Bray Wyatt, and y'all know how I feel about this particular pay-per-view, 2019 Hell in a Cell. I love his entrance as The Fiend. It was very incredible. He should have won as WWE champion, mind you, but despite the match is like, not up to par, but it was good seeing Bray in a different element. And I know he made a huge impact in the wrestling industry. And now he's gone. And of course, Terry Funk. I saw a post on Facebook, and someone did post to say, without any death match, there would have been a Terry Funk or something like that, though, because Terry Funk has been the pivotal point of hardcore / deathmatch wrestling. Rest in peace to Terry. Rest in peace to Bray. Again, my sincerest condolences goes up to the family and friends of Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt.
Hey everyone, the CDC83 here. I was asked to do a video, just give some of my recollection thoughts about the late Terry Funk and Windham Rotunda, also as Bray Wyatt. So, I'll start with Bray. He was one of those ones that was pretty captivating. My first memory of him was seeing him on NXT, probably most people's memory of him. That terrible slogan, the tank with the Ferrari engine. I mean, it was fine for what it was. He was interesting. He was different. I actually liked the Husky Harris character. Obviously, they rebranded him, went with the whole Bray Wyatt thing. I'll be honest, Bray Wyatt wasn't necessarily my cup of tea. However, when they had the whole situation where they redid everything with The Fiend, the whole build-up with the Firefly Funhouse, I loved it. I thought that was some of the most entertaining and interesting things that the WWE had done in a long time, and they had been losing me over again for quite a while, but that was one of the few things that actually kind of kept me tuning in still, just to at least check that part out. He'll definitely be missed. Great mind for the business, great mind for character and development and just story work that he did. So it'll be sad that, that's done for, that character's gone. Obviously it won't be forgotten. Had lots of great little pieces here and there with the character. Terry Funk is one that it hurt, but it didn't hurt that bad, because it's one of those ones that, it's kind of a long time coming. It's never a great time, but it's one that you could kind of expect, given his age, general health, and just, deterioration of the body for these wrestlers and the things that they put themselves through, but especially Terry Funk. So, my first memories of Terry Funk or with the WWE, I knew him at that time as Chainsaw Charlie. I didn't have any thing that came to mind specific about that time, but the one thing I do recall, The first time I actually saw Terry Funk, also Chainsaw Charlie, was actually at a local show here back when it was Roberts Stadium in Evansville, Indiana. This was the infamous spot where he and Mick Foley got thrown into the dumpster by the New Age Outlaws and then chucked off the stage. I was there for that live. That was a pretty memorable thing. I still remember it to this day, and it's just one of those things that, like, when I think back at my childhood of wrestling shows, that's the one that always comes to mind. He'll definitely be missed. It's one of those things. It was always fun to kind of go back and see things along the way. Got to see a lot of stuff of his when he was with ECW for times. A lot of the things I got to see was through tape trading in high school at that point. Just a all-around amazing talent. It was always fun to just go back and watch things. Fun things is even remembering that, you know, he was in Roadhouse, but I didn't know who that guy was back then. But then when you kind of come back to like things like that, and you just see like, that's Terry Funk. Just lots of little fun memories. So sad that they're both gone, but you know, their memories will linger on with all of us, and we'll always have those great times and great memories to go along with it.
First off, thoughts and prayers to Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt's family and friends. So as a wrestling fan of deathmatch wrestling and hardcore wrestling, Terry Funk was an idol of mine, a hero of mine. Going all the way back to the first time I saw him in ECW. And then the hardcore stuff he was doing in WCW in 2000. Then I was shown his, the stuff in the 70s. And his stuff in the early 90s in Japan. It always amazed me at his old age. The crazy out of ordinary, bizarre things, violent things that Terry would do to make fans happy. Always appreciated that as a fan. He put his body on the line pretty much on a nightly basis. Phenomenal technical wrestler too. People forget about that. The NWA, early NWA days when he was champion, him and his brother were killing shit. Just a phenomenal wrestler. That truly gonna be missed. Truly a hero. And a pro wrestler and a cowboy in every sense of the words. Bray Wyatt. What a genius. Bray Wyatt had a mind for the business and a mind for storytelling. That is just unmatched in my opinion. One of the best. Sucks that he had to die so young. He had so much more to give with the characters he was coming up with. I remember seeing Bray the first time, FCW. Right before the Husky Harris Nexus character. And he wasn't given much. But I knew I had a feeling he was going to be something. And then that Bray Wyatt character, when he started doing that in a way that FCW early NXT with the Wyatt family. Just great stuff. Again, truly gonna be missed. Yeah. Again, thoughts and prayers to both Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt's family. But yeah, the wrestling world lost two great ones. And also, Put it out there. R.I.P. to Bob Barker. I know he was a big wrestling fan. Was on Monday Night Raw, hosted Monday Night Raw once. Had wrestlers on in the early days of Price is Right in the 70s, like Ox Baker. Yeah, R.P. Bob Barker too.
What's up, Gold TV? Today, we honor two great men in the wrestling industry that we've sadly lost. One being the hardcore legend, Terry Funk, and the other being the Eater of Worlds, Bray Wyatt. Terry was one of my childhood favorites. Growing up on the original ECW, I fell in love with Terry Funk. And then him going to WWE as Chainsaw Charlie really grabbed me, because the stuff that he did with Mick Foley was some of the best stuff that you'll get in wrestling. And the man had such a legendary career. Like, the man wrestled from 1965 to 2017. Like, that blows my mind. The fact that he just went and went and went. And as Kevin Smith would say, big bucket of win for Terry Funk. It was sad the way that he went out, but I just want to thank Terry for all of the years of entertainment that he gave us, and him putting his body on the line for way longer than anybody would ever think in this industry. And then we get Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt was one of the most creative minds that I think that we have seen, at least in my lifetime. And I firmly believe that if he hadn't been taken away from us, we would be talking about Bray Wyatt the way that most people talk about The Undertaker. I think the Eater of Worlds and the Cult Leader gimmick are some of the best that WWE has put out since The Undertaker, to be honest. My heart breaks for his family and everyone that he was closely connected to. So I'll just end it with this, folks. Hug your friends, hug your family. You don't know when they're going to be gone. And always remember, follow the buzzards forever.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here for Bob Barker. I'm joking. I'm sorry. I was told we're not doing gimmicks. We're not doing any gimmicks. We're being ourselves. So I'm not coming at you as BGM or Gouch. I'm coming to you as Robert. This particular death hit me way harder than your average wrestler dying. Possibly because I'm 39, Bray was 36. He was a father, so am I. I'm a big guy with a beard. And I'm one of those people who saw myself in Bray. So like in 2017, when he won the championship at Elimination Chamber, I was overjoyed because I felt like one of my people had won something. I felt like as if I had won something. And he was just so amazing. And there was like that whole like supernatural weirdo guy, weirdo element that we hadn't seen work since The Undertaker. And I just had there's a special needs kid I work with, and he said something that was so nice. He was like, he said that Bray Wyatt should have been the next Undertaker. And then he goes, wait, he was the next Undertaker. And I thought that was about as close to sentiment. To me, it felt very sentimental. But that made me and I think a lot of people look at ourselves and look like, oh, holy crap, we could go any minute. The day I heard the news, and I came up to her with my phone and I showed her how to unlock my phone. If you're a guy, this is like heavy shit. But I showed my wife how to unlock my phone in case something were to ever happen to me, because I'm 3 years older than Bray. Lord knows what could happen. If anything, this should this should be a lesson to people. We can go any day now, and you should just cherish the ones you're with. I am hugging my wife tighter than ever right now, because you never know. Shania Twain. No, that's terrible. That's terrible. I should not have done that. Or maybe I should have. I think Bray would have respected that. Hell, they went out with his lantern over on SmackDown. So me saying Shania Twain, you're doing something ridiculous. Like mentioning Bob Barker at the beginning. Oh well. But thanks for having me on here. Redson Priest, Bray Wyatt, up there with Brody Lee, having matches with Terry Funk and Mr. Perfect. Heaven's full of 5-star classics.
They most certainly are. Thank you to our PW60 family for sharing their thoughts there, and I think Best Scout brings up a good point too. As far as like, I said this at the beginning of the hour. Just we all mourn differently, but it's one of those things too. Where life does happen, and it happens at a rapid rate. But like he's saying, like so many of the other creators said, like seriously, like just cherish these little moments. Like I remember like the other night, I took my dogs out. And they were running around the backyard playing with each other, and I just was like in that moment of like, God, how blessed I am. Like I got to get that with my boys, And I know B-roll, you have moments like that with your family. We all do. So
Yeah.
just you got to cherish that stuff.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I'm not sure if you saw it, but while we were off screen,
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My daughter came in to tell me good night, and just
She loved you.
you hug them a little tighter, and
Yeah. Well, like we said earlier too, what was the whole thing's gut wrenching about this week, but we didn't lose not one but two great legends. So right now we really want to talk a little bit about the greatness that is Terry Funk. I mean, I know like for you B-roll, you know him as the hardcore guy. For me personally, I remember him a lot for that too, but like Terry Funk was a phenomenal professional wrestler, a great technician in his days, and Huskies alluded to this. Like the man had wrestled in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. Think about that for a minute.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was the ongoing joke with Terry, oh, he's retired, I'll never retire. And the thing is, yes, Terry Funk is definitive for the death match. Like absolutely. Yeah, the death match god. But I also want to talk about like how like he was him and Dory, his brother, were the first two brothers to ever hold a major world heavyweight championship, the singles championship, as Terry was a former NWA heavyweight champion. And I mean, Terry could draw. Terry. The thing is with Terry, and you can look at it here too. Like Terry had some of the best facials expressions throughout his time in pro wrestling. Man, like it was just something great. And we all know we joke about the way like that slow. I can't even do it, but the slow, methodical way that he would talk. But I mean, you gotta acknowledge like just the greatness that he was, and another guy who was able to reinvent himself time in and time again. And another great aspect about Terry Funk's history in the world of pro wrestling, Terry Funk arguably is probably one of the greatest gaijin wrestlers of all time. Terry Funk was so over in Japan we are talking Bruiser Brody, Stan Hansen level over. I mean, he is one of the. If you had a Mount Rushmore of top guys in the Gaijin wrestlers, Terry Funk would easily be on that Mount Rushmore. And like you think about yes, thank you so much, Nathan with the Y. Yeah, he took a guy like Onito under his ring, and look what Onita has done, and like how he's defined that genre and that era of deathmatch wrestling.
Yeah.
I mean, Terry Funk is a trend center. Terry Funk is a pioneer in the world of professional wrestling. I mean, and this is another one. There is never going to be another Terry Funk. Never going to be another Terry Funk. But you just look back at his work, like not only here in North America, here in like the stuff he did in Memphis with like Jerry Lawler, like all these great rivalries. And I mean, dude, trust me, Terry had some incredible rivalries throughout the years. And also, you got to mention too, man. Like a lot of people mention our videos. Terry Funk had a great acting career too, man. He was in Roadhouse, Over the Top. Like I love his character in like Roadhouse, man. Roadhouse is one of my all-time favorite movies. Seriously.
Thinking again, it comes back to like those facials,
Yes, yes. And like Terry, look at them, man. The Terry's not a guy I'm gonna mess with, man. Are you kidding me? Like I'm in a bar, like in Oklahoma or something, and like fucking Terry Funk's there working, No, I ain't gonna mess with him as a bouncer. But no, I want to talk about some of these great feuds, and Cody alluded to it. Like, arguably, maybe his greatest feud, and Terry had some great ones. But man, the rivalry with Dusty Rhodes was great. Just the stuff Terry would spout out against Dusty Rhodes, like "you egg sucking dog."
like the expression that honestly comes to mind, from what I've seen of this rivalry and know about it, tailor made for each other.
Yes, they absolutely were. And Nathan, you're making a great point there. Every wrestler we see today, at one point or another, has been inspired by something that Terry Funk did. Terry Funk's got his hands all over, just like Dusty Rhodes, man. And that's why their rivalry was so great. It was like yin and yang, man. And oh yes, we're gonna talk about Cactus Jack too. I mean, that's arguably maybe his greatest rivalry. But another one I want to point out, I loved personally, the rivalry with Ric Flair. And a lot of people, we talk about the greatness of Ric Flair. A true wrestling historian, if you look back, a lot of people will tell you that Ric Flair's greatest year of his career was 1989. And 1989 was defined by Ric Flair having two feuds, one with Ricky the Dragon the Steamboat, and the other one with Terry Funk. And I'll never forget the Great American Bash match. Nobody will ever forget the I Quit match at that Clash of the Champions. And one of the things ahead of its time, man, in hardcore and stuff, Terry Funk's the first guy to ever do a pile driver on a table to somebody, or at least that we saw on national television. Let's put it that way. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. He tried to put a plastic bag on Ric Flair's head and tried to end it. I mean, Jesus. You talk about middle-aged and crazy, man. But I'll never forget that spot, the pile driver through the table. And I mean, yeah, they didn't go through the table and it kind of looked ugly, but that was the thing. It looked ugly and it made you believe. And then it was like Ric Flair was out of action for several months after that. You know what I mean? So, but I just have to say I love that feud. But yes, we got to. Maybe the greatest feud he had, of course, was one with Cactus Jack. And I mean, these guys. They defined deathmatch wrestling over in Japan. The exploding ring, the barbed wire. And the thing is, B-roll. I want you to think about this. Okay, we're talking about a guy who could easily have been retired, who had already technically retired. Doesn't have to wrestle anymore. His legacy's intact. He's a former world champion. And yet here he is reinventing himself. And in doing so, adding to his legacy, not only Terry Funk's legacy, but just this legacy of hardcore wrestling. I mean, he's once again, we talked about Gaijin wrestlers. You could do a Mount Rushmore of hardcore wrestlers, and Terry Funk's on that list.
Oh yeah, honestly, when I'm looking at this picture and I'm thinking, these two are easily on the Mount Rushmore of hardcore, like deathmatch, like wrestling, like
Yeah.
easily. It's like they get 2 spots, and then you figure out your other 2.
Yeah, it really like, and I'll never forget the stuff that and Husky mentioned this, and this is where I really grew to appreciate and understand and watch Terry was his run in ECW.
Yeah.
And I mean, Paul Heyman has said this many times. If it wasn't for Terry Funk, there wouldn't have been an ECW. Like Terry Funk was that veteran guy who came in and he wasn't just like, oh, this is beneath me or whatever. He wanted to help the company grow. It was like Terry was looking at people on that roster and it's like not so much as like, oh, this is their gimmick or whatever. Like, oh, I can make them, or oh, I can get them over. Oh, I can get them over. That's the thing. And like
Yep.
Terry Funk, if you don't, like I say, if you don't have Terry Funk in ECW, I don't think you have an ECW.
Yeah.
It's plain and simple.
Like how Cody. Oh man, that match! But how like
Yes.
Cody put it the other day in his when he was talking about him, like the rub, like
Mhm.
and like
Yeah.
Terry Funk did that like to like all of ECW basically,
Yeah.
and more.
Yeah, I mean Terry Funk's fingerprints is all over that and hardcore wrestling in general, man.
This match though, oh
This
my
match, though, yes, like, oh my god, I'll never forget this. And trust me, you're not gonna find this on Peacock, folks. You gotta go to YouTube if you want to see this one.
I don't
The
even know if it's on YouTube.
That's true. It may not be, but man. And then for Funk to come in and do like in the Attitude Era and be like Chainsaw Charlie, crazy enough to put pantyhose on his head and come out with a chainsaw, and just like God love him, and like even going on into WCW and continuing to wrestle on until 2017. It's just the man had a remarkable career, a career that we'll never see again. A once, like I say, father figure, pioneer in the world of professional wrestling.
And even winning the tag titles with Mick Foley.
Yeah. Yeah, former world tag champion, former heavyweight champion. I mean, the man's literally done it all. He is a Hall of Famer, but his once I got to go back. The most important role that Terry Funk ever played was that of a family man with his wife, his daughters, and like I say, the wrestling world we lost a great one. But man, I feel for his family, his daughters. Now I know with Terry's situation was different. Terry obviously had been suffering for some time. Was in a facility with the dementia. He had good days, had bad days, but thing is, Terry's not suffering now. He's up there in that squared circle in the sky. He's given spinning toe holds to dusty roads, and it's just weird. Once again, we're so blessed that we got to watch the greatness that was Terry Funk, and he's gonna be so missed, man. I remember when I heard the news, I was so it just hit me so hard because, like I was telling you, I really look at his like as like a father figure to wrestling, and he's another one of those guys. I don't remember ever hearing anybody say anything negative about Terry Funk. As long as a career as he had, man. But like we say, I know this episode of PW60 has been completely different, outside the norm, but we truly felt like we wanted to honor both of these legacies of these men. But wrestling's what bonds us all together, right? B-roll. It's that like it's brought us what we love, what we're passionate about, and we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about to close out our show here tonight. Arguably, it's a watershed moment in the history of professional wrestling. We have to talk about what happened yesterday at Wembley Stadium at All In. I mean, this is a show that we have been building up in our minds for months, like just knowing like what the spectacle was going to be. And holy crap, I think personally AEW delivered, man.
Yeah,
I loved every bit of this show,
and I
we
mean,
needed it.
yeah, I was saying, really, when you think about it, like that, it kind of like defines this week. Like we had a really lows, and we also had like thankfully, this was the high,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
like
after
you
the
said,
week.
we needed it. Like we needed it.
Yeah, we really did. But I thought the card was incredible. Like I just the spectacle of seeing Wembley alone and just thinking of that many people there. But hey, buddy, let's break her down. Let's talk about All In and the awesomeness that was All In. And first and foremost, your kickoff. Yes, let's talk about that devastating kangaroo kick. How like I popped so hard when he legit did that. Hey, it looked pretty damn good too, honestly.
Best one. I don't
Yeah.
think he had.
I
Had
don't
he hit
think
one
he
before?
no, we've never seen one. We've
Yeah,
never seen him do one.
he teased it, and then
Yeah. But I thought this was a perfect way to start the show. Obviously, with this story, this is one of the best stories AEW's done all year by far. This bromance between Adam Cole and MJF. And of course, we all know how it ended that night in the main event. So they opened Wembley and they closed Wembley. And oh, the devil showed up. The devil did. But man, Adam Cole had several opportunities in that matchup to win the matchup by, doing some dastardly deeds, but he couldn't do it. But ultimately, a small package later, and MJF would retain the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. And what about the story afterwards, man? Like with the whole like Adam Cole, like it just man, God, the way MJF like just was talking to him and like how he opened up, and how it was just like this, here is a guy showing a guy who we've never really seen showing vulnerability, showing it with Adam Cole, letting Adam Cole into his life. And here they have this amazing moment, and he's just like, you know what, just do it, just hit me with the damn thing. I know you're gonna do it anyway, but he chose not to. And friendship prevailed. Like, what do you make of like how All In ended? Like with this, and that's obviously the story's going to continue on.
I think a couple of things. Excellent marketing opportunity.
Oh, of course,
the bromance continues.
You're selling way too many shirts, guys. We can't break you up yet.
Yeah. And this is just gonna be so interesting to see how it plays out. Because how long are they gonna hold the tag titles for? Like, think about it. I think our next ROH show is Final Battle,
or maybe, yeah. I don't think they'd hold them that long, but I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting to think of, but I'm here for it. I'm glad it's continuing on. Yeah, it's the best way to put it right there. The swerve is there was no swerve, and sometimes when you have stuff booked like that, it's just chef's kiss. That's what I feel about the about this. Yeah, and I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know who he would face or if he's going to be on All Out. Like it's going to be a very interesting Wednesday night because Tony Khan's kind of. It feels like on paper he's booked himself into a corner, but maybe that's not the case. But man, he had a home run, a home run, not only for AEW but for all professional wrestling. Because here's the thing, too. This puts WWE. You look at WWE, what they've been doing in the past year. Their product has been night and day different than what it was a year ago. And I mean, yeah, you can argue part of that's because a certain someone's not around, but I mean that the thing is, it's like it's just you got competition like this, and it's at age old. It's best for business, right? So, and right now we are in a huge boom in the world of professional wrestling. But I want to talk about the rest of the All In show though first, and we had several new champions crowned at Wembley, and the first being Saraya is your new AEW Women's Champion as she defeated Toni Storm, Hikaru Shida, and Dr. Britt Baker. How do you feel about Saraya picking up the win in her home country?
Honestly, it's kind of like chef's kiss.
Yeah.
The only part, and we've talked about this, it kind of sucks for Sheeta, but I mean, when you think of her story, I mean,
Yeah, because you never thought she'd be able to wrestle again, and let alone she wrestles in one of like the largest crowds in wrestling history. Her family comes out with her. She does it in her home country. Tony Khan spending the big bucks on music this night too, man. Getting Queen, holy shit! I know that wasn't cheap, but it was. I thought it was a pretty cool moment. I think does this kind of mean we're done with the Outcast? I guess. Eh, eh.
Well,
I felt like
did you watch all the media scrum? That's the
I did.
question.
Oh, I did, and she's got some stuff to deal with. Here's the thing: I like the Outcast, and I like Saraya, but I don't like Saraya in the Outcast. Does that make sense? Ooh, Sheeta against Saraya. That could be a fun matchup. I
mean,
don't know.
Sheeta could ask for it because she didn't get pinned.
This is true. But I don't know. I just personally feel like her working as a babyface. Let Tony and Ruby do their heel stuff. Have them bring somebody in like an Athena or something. I don't know. I think that'll be more entertaining. But like, well deserved. But hey, you talk about a huge moment. Look who was in the crowd, Miss Monet, Mercedes Monet was
They
all
flat
in.
out showed it in like the pre-show. They were like,
Yeah.
Yep.
So she was there. And this has been talked about a lot with women's wrestling especially in AEW right now. It just seems like it's not a little poorly booked.
I'm telling you, it's not going to happen at All Out. I don't think. But if it does, I'd be oh so happy.
Mercedes?
If Saraya lays out like an open challenge.
Yeah.
I feel like going into one of these pay-per-views one times, there's going to be an open challenge or like a mystery opponent. And that's who it's going to be. I don't think it's going to happen All Out.
I think the thing is Mercedes. Here's the thing. Like, I think they wanted Mercedes to be there. She wanted to be there, but I think if Mercedes was cleared to wrestle, she would have gotten involved in that match or had some physicality. Something would have happened. But the fact is, she still is recovering from that injury. But here's congratulations to Saraya. Like, what a moment! Like, she's got this kind of just storybook like moment. Like, I mean, she deserves it, man. After all the hell she's been through in the past 10 years,
she said she was writing
her
a book,
and that was going to be how the book ends. It makes sense because I mean it's a pretty perfect ending nonetheless. But also we have new trios champion as the Acclaimed and Badass Billy Gunn are your new champions as they defeated the House of Black, the longest reigning trios champions. Some people kind of indifferent about this. I'm okay with it. Like, I don't think it really hurts House of Black or anything. I mean, I love what House of Black is doing. I think anything they do is going to be great. But I think it was cool to have this moment, especially for a guy like Billy Gunn, who really kind of deserves it. Reinvented his career, especially in the past year. But
Yes.
I thought this was a good moment.
Now we can get back to more important things.
Yeah, and I think House of Black, you still got that feud kind of ongoing. You could still do stuff with Andrade, and there's plenty of other stuff.
That's what I was saying. Los Ingobernables.
Yes, let's go. I need that in my life. But congratulations to the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass for winning the Trios Championship. And we got to acknowledge House of Black. This entrance, oh my God, with the lantern, oh, with a tear in my eye when we saw this, man. It's so emotional, such a cool moment, like way for them to honor. And it makes sense. The House of Black is kind of like your spooky dark character in AEW. So why wouldn't they be the ones to pay homage to the late great Windham Rotunda? But I love this moment, man.
And this is honestly the best gear they've ever done.
Oh my gosh! You talk about amazing drip, like our buddy Hambone would say. The House of Black brought it. Also, we have a new FTW champion in Hook as he regained his championship in a hard-fought match, and we gotta talk about it. It's like, fuck, really? After everything we've been through this week, and then this shit happens. Like, this is a huge pivotal moment for all elite wrestling, for all professional wrestling, and we're talking about the controversy with Jack Perry, where he has a spot in this matchup and he yells audibly to the camera, like, this is real glass.
Crimea River.
And of course, of course, Punk was going on first. As bad as I hate to, we got to talk about it. The bullshit with CM Punk and Jack Perry. And it's just like from who knows what really happened? Who knows? But folks, there's a common denominator here. And I don't hate the man or anything like that, but I mean, all this shit is happening over and over again, and it's like different talents with Punk. I mean, I'm not saying Punk's in the wrong here. I'm not saying but here's the thing: they are drawing their biggest house, and literally before they open the fucking pay-per-view, you get in a scuffle over some stupid shit like this, and once again, we don't know the full extent of what really happened. We never probably will. And hell, there's always the wrestling theory. Oh, is it a work? But this shit is getting old, dude. We talked about this before on this show. I am so tired of talking about CM Punk getting into it with everybody. I heard something about him threatening to quit. B-Roll, I'm going to be 110% honest with you. If this is all like the same shit, different day, he needs to go. I don't care how much money he's drawn. He needs to go. And it's a shame that the talent can't work with him, but then they're letting him rub him the wrong way. But, and I mean, I think CM Punk will be the first to tell you, he kind of has that personality, like either love him or hate him, right? And that can come off to dickish to some people. I just hate that this happened on their biggest show. And even we talked about this while we was watching the show. What were we doing? We were watching the show and we're into it, but there was times where we go on our damn phone to get updates on this bullshit. Yeah. Oh, there you go. He's got a cult of personality. I mean, perfectly said, my friend. I don't know. What do you make of all this horse shit?
I mean, if he was threatening to quit, honestly, if I had been back there, I'd have been like, "There's the door." I mean, because it's tiring.
It really is. And once again, we don't know the true story. We're not going to know the true story, but the fact that it's being put out there, and this is once again happening during a pivotal moment in AEW, and it's Punk and somebody else, I'm just saying, the shit's got to change. But nonetheless, we did get treated to a classic opening matchup at All In, with CM Punk going up against Samoa Joe. Glad that they got to have this moment because this is like one of the best rivalries of all time, in my opinion. The chemistry is phenomenal between these two. Always has been, always will. Joe was working that crowd, brother. But dude, I gotta say this. I loved how Joe got in some of his Ring of Honor stuff, but I love the finish of this match too, with CM Punk hitting the Pepsi plunge to finish off Samoa Joe. Was perfect, man. But it's unfortunate, the bullshit that happened before. But I thought this was the best way to open the show. What'd you think?
I agree. It was a great opener.
Okay. Also, let's talk about the AEW Tag Team Championship matchup. With the Young Bucks going up against FTR. A little surprised with the outcome. What do you think of the tag team match?
I really liked all the false finishes. Because there was several times I thought it was over. And it wasn't. I hated the Bucks' initial entrance. As I look at the picture you have up there, that music that was playing.
I was so confused and did not like that.
But then they did go into the regular music, which was nice.
Yeah. But I was surprised FTR picked up the win. I'm glad FTR picked up the end. Yeah, and that's a good point too. I didn't even think about that, MJ. That Cash did get the pin. That's pretty wild, man. But once again, I'm glad FTR went over on the Bucks. Stadium Stampede. This may have been one of my more enjoyable matches of the night, man. This was just chaos. I love when Eddie just came out and he just beeline for Claudio. He's like, fuck everything else.
In a Patrick Ewing jersey.
Yes.
And Sue brought the cookies.
Oh my god, I popped so hard. Man, oh man, I thought it was so, I thought it was so freaking cool, dude. So, but yeah, this was just chaotic as always. Moxley and the gear coming out like on his own, man, it was pretty wild. Like, or just um that stuff. It was pretty cool, man. So I love the matchup. OC getting the win too. How about like dipping his fist in the glass and stuff to in it? You know what I mean? That was pretty dope. Like I just everything about it.
Yeah,
Um,
that was hardcore. It's
yeah,
hardcore.
it really was. Like I love the Stadium Stampede. I'm glad to see like OC kind of go over and get the pin. Like I thought he deserved it. Um, it was great. It was good. It was good. Good shit, pal. Speaking of good shit too, let's talk about the coffin match between Sting and Darby Allin going up against Swerve Strickland and Christian Cage. I love this matchup, and I thought the entrances were great. I popped so hard when Seek and Destroy was playing. Oh man, dude, that was so dope. Um, the entrance and stuff to it as well was really cool. I thought like the entry video and stuff. Swerve coming out with the rap at the beginning too. Um, man, it was pretty badass overall. Like the match itself was fun too. I thought. Um, it was another one where, and you know what's funny is it came in the show and I was like, oh, I forgot. Yeah, this match is happening too.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, so. But seriously though, like I thought the match was great. Um, oh, looks like we lost B-roll. We may try to get him back here in a second. Um, but yeah, overall, I thought this was super freaking awesome. Like put it to you this way, this this match over exceeded what I was expecting. I guess too because I'm a Sting mark. I love Sting, man. So I thought it was great, man. Also, I thought another great matchup too. Pleasantly surprised was one Chris Jericho against Will Ospreay. And I know a lot of people going into this was like, I don't know if I really want to see this matchup, but I know we kind of if you look back at like we go back to the Double or Nothing. Oh yeah, MJ, I can't wait to meet Sting too. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna his you Sting, and he's gonna be like, I've only heard that 1,000 times, but um, yeah, going into this matchup, I think a lot of people were just kind of like, you know, wanting big. Will Ospreay has had one of the best runs this year. Arguably, you could easily say he's wrestler of the year. Look at the guys he's worked with from Omega twice to putting on like some of the greatest matches you've ever seen, as well as going up against Naito in the G1, Okada, and this matchup. But yeah, I agree. I wasn't quite sure about it, but I tell you what changed me was the promo on Wednesday Night Dynamite with Jericho. Man, that made me believe. I was like, oh, and the entrances for both these guys was amazing. Jericho like singing himself out is amazing on so many levels. Uh, I I thoroughly enjoyed this matchup and glad to see Will pick up the win. Makes you wonder where this Jericho go from here. But this match was another one like the coffin match in my opinion that I really feel like it over delivered. And I think it was one of my favorite matches on the card, to be quite honest with you. And then in trios action, we got to see the Golden Elite go up against Takeshita and the Bullet Club Gold. And the finish on this one, oh my. Takeshita picking up the win against Kenny and setting up a match at All Out. And that, I was wondering that too, MJ. That's a good point. Chris Jericho could go one-on-one against Sammy at All Out. It could happen. Could it be a passing of the torch moment? I don't know. But it was great. This trios match was fun too. The thing is about this card, there wasn't one matchup that like really like was like, oh my gosh, we'll be talking about this for years to come. This was a card we're going to be talking about years to come because there wasn't a bad match. The pacing of this card was awesome. Like I can't believe 4 hours went by like that. Just everything about All In was incredible, I thought personally. And how about this? I mean, going into it, we knew it was a spectacle, and All In was a spectacle as they had the paid attendance of 81,035 people. And here's the thing. I see people griping and complaining about this shit online and stuff. Oh, well, they inflate their numbers. Well, I mean, yes, that's been done in wrestling time in and time again. But the fact of the matter is, folks, you cannot deny looking at this image right here, all these images from All In, and seeing the spectacle of it. And the fact that this is a company outside of the WWE that's doing this. Wrestling is in a huge boom right now. Dare I say it's almost even a bigger boom than the Attitude Era. And I've got people that come up to me and talk to me and ask me about like wrestling all the time. And I'm just telling you, like people see this and they can tell like how amazing and a watershed moment this was. Because I mean, this truly was a moment we're going to be talking about, just like we talked about All In about what was it, 4 years ago or whatever, the first one in Chicago, and how much of a watershed that moment is. And now we're going to be talking about how they were able to go to Wembley Stadium and draw this many people. It's an incredible accomplishment that AEW was able to do. And they did announce that they will be returning to Wembley next year, Sunday, August the 25th, going All In back in London. I think it's an awesome tradition. It makes sense. I know this is like the equivalent of Labor Day weekend, I believe, over there in London. So everything about All In, like I said, like it's what we needed, especially after this week, us wrestling fans. And I tell you what, we here at Cold TV, we're so lucky that one of our dear, close, personal friends was actually in attendance at Wembley Stadium. And here with his thoughts from Wembley Stadium himself, our good friend, Simply Nicholas. Check this out.
Representing Cold TV in London. Just outside of Wembley. It's the day after All In. And what an incredible show. What a unique experience for an American over here. Very honored to represent Cold TV. First things first, 81,000 is a lot of people. The matches I thought were fantastic. Very, very well-paced show in my opinion. We all have our own ideals on how things should have been set up or shouldn't have been set up and what should have this and this and that. But very cool, a very good experience. I highly recommend with the announcing of All In 3, All In 2 in London for next year. If you have the means and the opportunity to go do it. Took me about 25 minutes to get into the stadium. I was fortunate enough to be down by the entrance. I call them ramps, but the walkway, the aisle. And very, very cool. My man Sting was there. Very cool seeing Hook. Hook was very well received. All the wrestlers really were. People booed Christian, as they should, because I don't like... I like to boo Christian and Don Callis, just like everybody else. Very good stuff. Not going to really break down stuff and matches because this Cold TV and their expert panels will always do better at that than I ever will. But for a traveling wrestling fan that's been over to a lot of shows but never in the United Kingdom, very cool. London's been pretty good. Got to see Defy, which was awesome. I thought it'd be easier to fly to London than to go to Washington. That's tongue-in-cheek, a joke, but that was cool. Progress was great. Highly recommend. What a perfect venue the Electric Ballroom is. It is a perfect nuts and bolts, down to the dirt arena where you want to see wrestling. A concert would be awesome there. But kudos to Progress. I love Progress Wrestling. Unfortunately, getting older now, I ran out of steam and couldn't make it to the Copper Box to see Rev Pro. That's maybe next year we'll get to a Rev Pro show and some of the other. I heard there was a couple other independents, but I couldn't find them. I really urge anybody that's watching this to give up the alphabet mentality and just support the wrestlers that you enjoy. They're a fantastic male, females, and whatever else people identify as, that are doing hard work and getting shots. Was really, really cool to see FTR and Bucks. I know those are, I know the Young Bucks are very controversial, with their style and being EVPs and that. But it was a heck of a match. It was very fun. Sorry, I'm kind of scattered all over, but as things are coming to me, I'm speaking about it. And this, I don't really know if they'll use this in the show or not, but Cold TV has been represented in London. I've given out 15 business cards. I believe a couple of people were trying to scan the back of my shirt. Met some great fans from California that flew all the way out here, and a lot of local individuals. So I don't do stars, but I give it a huge thumbs up. All In was really cool. If you have the means and the opportunity to go to a stadium show, do it. But if you have the means and the opportunity, go to the 200 plus venue, the limited, the nuts and bolts of wrestling. I say this every day. I do this all the time. I love pro wrestling and I love the wrestlers. And right now we are looking at something real special that if we could get the negativity out of the way and start supporting, could have a big boom. But that's just my opinion.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much, Nicholas, our brother. We love you. We're so glad you got to be a part of this phenomenal moment. And like I say, this week, folks, it's to go from the lows to the highs. And like I say, All In was a high, but that's what bonds us all together here. That's we love professional wrestling. I know a huge shout out I want to give to my all my family of Wrestle Talk. Like I know you've got me through some hard times, and that kind of segues into this because, and you'll understand, you'll explain. Cold TV is going all out again. That's right, because we will be at All Out, and it's cool because the best part of this whole weekend is all the people we're going to see, like all of our friends. Cannot wait to meet MJ and Hambone for the first time. We're going to see CDC, Spicy Guac, and so many more. I know I've left out so many, but I'm just so excited. That's what I'm excited about this weekend. And great thing is we're going to get to share that all with you because we will have exclusive vlogs coming to you next week from All Out Week, from the GCW shows, from StarCast, from Collision, and of course the big one, All Out itself. But Cold TV, we are going to All Out again. This is going to be our third year going, which is crazy to think, man. I remember it just like yesterday going to that All Out and just how it reignited my passion for professional wrestling. And like I say, that's the thing. That's what bonds us and brought us all together is just our love for professional wrestling. I cannot wait to see all my Wrestle Talk family this weekend. It's going to be incredible. And once again, so excited to share all of this with you here on Cold TV. So that being said, next week there won't be a new Pro Wrestling 60, but next week here on Cold TV, it will be All Out Week, and you will see exclusive vlogs from all those shows I mentioned, such as GCW, as well as StarCast, Collision, and All Out. So stay tuned for that next week. But once again, I can't stress enough, reoccurring theme here, we've talked about it all night, is enjoy these moments because they're precious. They don't come often. We only have one life, folks. And if I can leave you with anything tonight, it's this, is that you truly have to live in the moment. It doesn't matter like what you got planned, what you got on the horizon. Like it is day by day because we don't know if tomorrow's not guaranteed for us. I know that's cliche, but it's the truth. It's the fact of the matter. And I know for me personally, I cannot wait to get to Chicago and be with my family. And that is what pro wrestling to me is all about, is just sharing this passion with some other like crazed individuals like myself who are just as passionate about the world of professional wrestling. And one last thing I want to say is I love our Wrestle Talk family, but I love each and every one of you. And I've said it before, I'll say it 1,000 times. This channel would not be where it is today if it wasn't for each and every one of you. So for those of you who's been with us from the get-go, for those of you who are new, cannot thank you enough and say how much I love you. And like I say, man, whether it's your family, your kids, your wife, husband, your dogs, your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, whoever, just hold on to it, man, and and just cherish that extra little moment. Even even it's something minute, but just hold on to that because it's the memories that's the most endearing. And by golly, we're going to be making some memories this weekend in Chicago. But tonight was in honor of Windham Rotunda and Terry Funk. You truly will be missed. But we're so grateful that we got to witness your greatness firsthand. Rest in peace, Windham Rotunda and Terry Funk.